Hello everyone, this is your host, your friend, your boy, Jet Black, the one and only, here with another exciting video. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about Mandarin's 10 Rings. So, Shang-Chi and the 10 Rings is a film that's going to be coming out soon. The first trailer dropped today, and I decided that I was going to do a little experiment. This may be a lot of videos, depending on how I want to break this all up, but I want to have you all imagine that there are 9 other versions of myself, and each of us have our own Mandarin ring. As you can see, the Mandarin has 10 rings, so I would have one of the rings, and the 9 other versions of me would each have one of his other rings. And I'm going to see which clones of me I could defeat in a one-on-one battle, essentially mano a mano, ring versus ring. In this episode, I'm going to be focusing on the Remaker Ring as my ring, and the clones are going to have all the other rings. So let's get started. So first, let me tell you what the Remaker Ring can do. By the way, this scan, which I'm using to reference the different abilities of the Mandarin rings, is from a very specific Marvel comic book. So I wanted to highlight what the actual original comic was. So this information is coming from Invincible Iron Man Annual Number 1, which was released on September 29th, 2010. So if you guys want to check it out, it's available on Comixology. Anyways, without further ado, let's hop in. So the Remaker Ring, which is the ring that I'll be using, has the ability to shatter and reimagine relationships on a subatomic level. So what that means is that I'm essentially able to take matter on a subatomic level and destroy it and then recreate it into something else. So it essentially allows me to kind of transmute and rearrange matter in a way. I guess rearrange matter is a more realistic way of describing it. But yeah, that's the ring that I'm going to be using. I'm going to be facing off against a version of myself who has the influence ring for this first match. So the influence ring allows you to create various forces that can cause a body to undergo change. So, I think my go-to strategy with the Remaker Ring against all my different clones will be to try and break down their rings on a subatomic level to turn them into rocks, just powerless rocks. So that's going to be my goal. I essentially want to take the one thing that gives them an edge and turn it into something they can't use. And then at that point, I just have subatomic manipulation. I can just turn them into piles of fleshy meat and just kind of win. So that's going to be my goal. Now, I will say my opponent has the influence ring. It says that it can create various forces that cause a body to undergo change. When I originally was looking at the influence ring, I was thinking that you could use it to shapeshift. One thing that I didn't really think about was the fact that you could probably use it to shapeshift other people. One thing that you could probably do is use the influence ring to turn an enemy into a frog or something. Just a normal frog. And then you could probably just squash them or whatever. Maybe you could turn them into an ant. Because when it says that there are forces that cause a body to undergo change, it seems like you could kind of manipulate the body of really anyone however you want. So if I'm trying to make it where my opponent's ring doesn't work, and my opponent is trying to turn me into some kind of weak insect that could easily be crushed or killed, it really comes down to who attacks first. So I'm going to say it's a 50-50 between who would win, the Remaker me or the influence me. Let me know in the comment section below which one of us do you think would prevail in that fight. Next up is going to be me with the Remaker ring versus me with the spin ring. So the spin ring decelerates time around the wearer, appears as super speed to the watcher. So that's actually kind of interesting. It essentially would make the clone of me into a speedster. I'm pretty sure the speedster me just wins. I can try to turn his ring into a rock before he uses his ring, but the fact that the ring gives him speed in the first place makes it seem like that clone will likely just speed blitz me. He'll just hit me way faster than I could even react, and probably kill me with a hard enough punch. Speed helps to build momentum, and the force of the hit would probably be enough to kill me if he's just moving fast enough. There's nothing I could really do to stop him. So I'm going to give that victory to the spin. Next up, I'm going to be using the Remaker Ring to face off against the clone of me that has the Spectral Ring. So the Spectral Ring winds up and warps the air itself. It can appear ghostly or could not appear at all. Okay, so that means you can essentially use the Spectral Ring in order to appear ghostly or disappear entirely. And it says that it winds up and warps the air itself, which makes me also think you can use it to do like wind manipulation. So there's a lot that my opponent could do with that. One thing that I'm not sure of is exactly how you utilize the rings. For example, do I have to like target my opponent by like seeing them in order to use the ring? Like, do I have to be able to see the clone of me that has the Spectral Ring in order to try and like deactivate his ring, like turn his ring to stone or whatever? Or can I just do it without having to see my opponent? Because if I can like rearrange, the subatomic particles that make up his spectral ring in order to turn it into just like a useless rock, without having to see him, then I think I could win. But if my opponent is able to just kind of like turn invisible and now I can no longer target them, well, if I can't use my powers and they can manipulate the air, then I think they just kind of dick on me. You know what I mean? Another big thing is when it says they can appear ghostly, does that mean that they can just try and make themselves look kind of transparent? Or do they actually have like ghost-like abilities? Because if my opponent now has all the powers that a ghost has, ghosts are very, very powerful. And I'm not sure if you can rearrange the atoms of a ghost. Yeah, like I don't know if that's like a thing, because now he's like a supernatural entity. I'm not sure if it's saying that. I feel like if it's saying that, it would have just said that directly. So if my clone is just appearing ghostly and doesn't actually have ghost powers, like they don't go invisible, they just go like partially transparent or whatever, then I think I could manipulate, his subatomic atoms or whatever, especially of the ring, to try and turn it into just like a defunct rock to depower my opponent and then beat down my opponent. And by beat down, I mean breaking them down on a subatomic level and essentially just disintegrating my opponent. Get wrecked. So the spectral ring also could be used in order to manipulate wind to maybe like quickly kill me, but I'm not sure which is faster, the speed of thought or the speed of wind. You know what I mean? Like, if my opponent can summon an incredibly fast wind that just like slices my head off before I do anything, it seems like the clone with the spectral ring could just kind of goop me. But, if I can like target my opponent using the Remaker Ring and break them down on a subatomic level before they're able to like summon up the wind, then maybe I could defeat them before they could even hit me with like a wind slash. Let me know in the comment section below which is faster, like the speed of thought or the speed of wind, because I actually don't know. Next up, I'm going to be facing off against my clone who has the Nightbringer. So the Nightbringer ring creates malleable darkness, a dark light. So I don't know if this means that they can create like dark constructs similar to like what Raven does in like Teen Titans, like these like hard light constructs of darkness, or if it's just allowing you to like summon darkness in general. I think it's letting him summon constructs of darkness. That's what I'm guessing. Let me know in the comment section below if that's like a inaccurate representation of what the Nightbringer does. But that's what I'm going to be going with right now. So if it lets you summon like hard light constructs, but they're just made of darkness, because he mentions that it's malleable, you know what I mean? Which makes me think you can touch it and you can like manipulate it into stuff. I think being able to create energy constructs is like an extremely useful ability, especially if the only limit to the kind of constructs you can make is like your imagination. So I guess this is like another speed thing, but I think the Nightbringer would just probably beat me in terms of speed. So if I'm able to, shatter and rearrange matter on like a subatomic level, it still seems like before I could shatter the Nightbringer, you could probably create like a darkness construct that, like stabs me through the heart and like kills me instantly or something. The reason why I say that is because it's a dark light and it seems like it might be actually like activating at like the speed of light. You know what I mean? If darkness is just the absence of light, then I imagine darkness moves at the speed of light. So I think I could probably get speed blitzed by the Nightbringer just before I could actually activate my ring. That being said, I just realized something. If all of the rings are based on like speed of thought activation, right? Like you have to think in order to use the ring, then the question of like what happens first, one ring or another, is kind of weird because the effect can't activate until you like think of the effect, right? Um, so if we're thinking at the same speed, I guess is like the issue, then it seems like the ring should tie. It wouldn't necessarily be a thing of like who activates first. They should just both activate. And if we go off of that, like if that's the assumption, then I guess the question is if I shatter your ring at the exact same time you use your ring to do something, does that deactivate like whatever you were going to do with the ring? You know what I mean? Like if you summon like a darkness construct that was going to like fire out and like kill me, right? I guess what I'm saying is that the darkness construct would probably reach me before your ring disintegrated. Because there's nothing that says how fast, the Remaker Ring can actually like break down your ring and turn it into like a pebble or something. But dark light, by being light, we know that it's probably as fast as the speed of light. So it's like a speed of light attack. So never mind, never mind. Like the speed thing still does matter. I think I do die to the Nightbringer. I think I get speed blitzed by like a basic, dark light laser beam. Okay, next up, I'm going to be wearing the Remaker Ring and facing off against my clone that has the Zero Ring. So my clone with the Zero Ring opens a beam of nothingness from the icy heart of outer space, creates a deafening boom as the vacuum is filled. Goodness, what the fuck? So it's a nothingness beam that creates a vacuum. It sounds like when the vacuum fills, that space like implodes. So I imagine if you got hit by that beam, essentially you'd suddenly be in like a vacuum. Maybe like all the air is just like sucked away from your current location. But then that vacuum will rapidly be filled by the surrounding air. So as the surrounding air gets sucked into the vacuum where you are, I think you just burst. Like you actually would just fucking explode. So that's really intense. I think what would end up happening then, like it's a question of what happens first. Do I get hit with the nothingness beam, or do I break down his ring at a subatomic level? I'm hoping that if I break down an opponent's ring, that it causes their ring's effect to go away. Like I'm no longer under the effects of the ring. So I could see this one going either way, to be honest. Because if it's a thing where I don't undo the effect, but it does turn their ring into a rock so they can't use it again, I probably still get hit by the beam. So at most, if I only target their ring, like I just try to break down their ring at a subatomic level, then I blow up and then they don't have a ring, but they still live. If I try to break them down as a whole on a subatomic level, including their ring, then they get like atomized essentially, and I explode. So that's not good. One thing that I could try to do, which honestly I haven't thought about until now, is use the ring to try and like mess with my subatomic structure. Maybe there's a way for me to like harden my body to increase my durability so I can like take some of these attacks. You know what I mean? Like for the spin ring, where I was like, my opponent could probably run so fast, they just like hit me and I die. Well, what if I use my ring to increase my durability instead of trying to use my ring to like break down their ring on a subatomic level. I still think he probably speed blitzes me. Well, I don't know, because I mentioned the whole thing about how like the ring effects likely are activating at the same time. So as I'm like shattering his ring, he's also gaining his super speed. But since he does have super speed where like time around him is slowed down, the ring is probably slowly deteriorating. Like he's likely actively losing the power but still has the speed. So he could probably kill me before he like before his ring disintegrated or before like well, I guess not. Yeah, because I keep thinking about it. If I increase my durability instead of disintegrate his ring, I guess my durability might be actively increasing, but at a slow rate as he races toward me. So, if you look at it that way, right, I may not be able to survive the punch if I haven't like fully like hardened my atomic structure by like closing in the space between like my atoms or whatever. So interesting. I think there's like a really interesting concept. Still think the spin ring beats me. But enough about the spin ring. We were talking about the zero ring. The zero ring, I think, just completely dicks me. I don't think I'm ready for the zero ring. Maybe if I can make myself like really durable with the Remaker ring, I could survive getting hit with a beam by the zero ring. If those ring effects happen like at the same time, like pretty much the same exact time, then I could work through it. It depends on if that beam is moving at like the speed of light or not. Because like I was saying before, I think if your ring effect is moving at light speed and it's specified that it's doing so, then it's probably just gonna beat out the Remaker's ring's like speed. So I'm gonna say the zero ring probably wins more often than not against the Remaker ring. Next up, we have me using the Remaker ring facing off against my clone with the Liar ring. So the Liar ring creates world upon world of illusory fable, as impossible to escape as a tangle of dreams, but vexes the wearer as well. So I think the Liar ring is one of the most powerful rings that the Mandarin has. Again, if I'm trying to break my opponent down on a subatomic level and turn them into a pebble, and my opponent is trying to trap me in an illusory world, and we activate our rings at the same time, I think in this case I do win, actually. Because here's what happens. If the power goes away when the ring is destroyed, then he sends me to like an illusory world that I can't escape. But then I turned him into a rock. So now he's a rock and the like illusory world fades away because the ring is gone. But like I said before, I don't know if that's how it actually works. It could be a thing where I turn him into a rock and now he can't undo what he did because because I turned him into a rock. Like I could be inadvertently trapping myself in the illusory world. So that one, it's a toss up because I actually don't know what happens. Like if I succeed at doing what I'm doing. Next up, we have lightning. Creates a directable electrical atmospheric discharge. It shoots lightning. So I say that lightning probably speed blitz me. Again, yeah, I mean, it's moving at lightning speed. I don't know how fast the Remaker ring shatters and rearranges like subatomic particles or whatever, but I do know that lightning is hella fast. So I can try to disintegrate him before I get shot by lightning, but I'll likely get shot by the lightning first, is what I'm thinking. Then we got incandescence. So the Remaker ring versus the incandescence ring. It contains the miniature heart of a star and scorches the air before it. Star heat is pretty powerful. Like that's very hot. Yeah, the question that I have right now is like whether or not the heat from his ring would reach me before I break him down. I don't know. I know that it takes 8 minutes from light from the sun to reach the earth, but that has a lot to do with distance. You know what I mean? And it says it contains the heat of a star. I don't know. I think he probably speed blitzes me, but I'm not sure. I don't know how fast the like heat shoots out of the ring versus how fast I can break him down on a subatomic level. Maybe I'm thinking about some of these things wrong, actually, now I think about it. So, why is it that I can't try to break down like the Nightbringer's hard light construct on a subatomic level? Because photons, I believe, are subatomic particles, are they not? Like, why can't I affect the particles of like the dark light? Or like the zero beam. Well, fuck, the zero beam is a beam of nothingness. Okay. A beam of nothing. I may not be able to affect a beam of nothing. I don't think nothingness contains subatomic particles. At least not necessarily. There is such a thing as like virtual particles that pop in and out of empty space. Um, I could try and manipulate those. I don't know what I would manipulate them into. Like I said, they populate quote unquote empty space. So what would I do? Condense them into something so I get hit? you know, Seems weird. Let's see. Also, I just realized that the zero ring also has a freezing effect. So, oh gosh. Oh fuck, that actually sounds really bad. Because it mentions that it's like the icy heart of outer space or whatever. So you probably get hit by that beam, frozen, and then when the vacuum of air closes around you, it shatters you to pieces. Which makes me think that even if I tried to increase my durability with a Remaker Ring, I probably wouldn't be able to survive, for one, being like flash frozen, and two, having like all that ice shatter on my body. So that's probably game if I get hit with the zero ring, not gonna lie. But yeah, I also think that the incandescence ring probably defeats me as well. But I mean, I don't know. Hot and cold have a lot to do with like particle situations, like particle arrangement. It has to do with how fast the particles are like vibrating or whatever. I wonder if I could use the Remaker ring to manipulate the subatomic vibrations of the heat that's being fired out from the incandescence ring in order to make the fire not like super hot. Make it like room temperature fire or something. I don't know. Something that may be like hot but not enough to just like kill me and then like hit my other version in the face. But at that point, I feel like you would rather just react. I mean, if you can react to the heat after it's already been shot, then you might as well just try and disintegrate his ring in the first place. So, I don't know. Some of these are like hard to determine how well I could react to them just because I don't know what the speed difference would be. And now I'm going to face off against the final ring, the daimonic ring, the irresistible urge that propels into the unknown, the compulsive, creates loyalty, creates obsession. So I think I win against this one, to be honest. So if both of our rings activate at the same time, his ring will make me loyal to him, and my ring will break him down on a subatomic level. If he makes me loyal to him, but I've already like started breaking him down on a subatomic level, it may be too late for me to like undo it. Like that's what he would need. He would need me to like undo breaking him down on a subatomic level. Because if I can't undo it for whatever reason, but I imagine I probably could, or I don't like react fast enough to undo what I already started, then he gets turned into a rock or like a mass of flesh or whatever on the ground, and then I'm no longer loyal to him. You know what I mean? So I think he probably does beat me, to be honest, because I think that is what happens. Like, he makes me loyal to him, and then I undo, like, trying to break him down on a subatomic level. Like, maybe he's in the process of, like, disintegrating, and then I, like, reintegrate him instead. So, there you have it. That's me with the Remaker Ring, facing off against 9 clones of me, who each have their own Mandarin Ring. I couldn't remember his name. I straight up couldn't remember who I was talking about. But what do you guys think? I'm thinking about maybe doing videos that have the exact same premise as this one, But maybe in the next one I have the influence ring, and then in the next one I have the spin ring, and then in the next one I have the spectral ring, so on and so forth. Let me know how you think you would do if you had to face off against 9 clones of yourself who each had their own Mandarin ring. Let me know in the comment section below. And let me know if I should continue the series. If I do this series, it'll be like a minimum of like 10 videos because I have to do one for each ring. But anyways, thank you all for watching. The show's your friend, your boy, Jet Black the one only, logging out. Peace, guys. Chicken bow.